Alrighty, guys, we're gonna try this here. And 3, 2, 1, we are live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Richmond Fishing Expo for the final day of this wonderful event. Come on down here. If you guys weren't partying too hard with the Redskins, doing the unthinkable and going into Detroit and beating them for like the 80th time in playoff history. But joining me to start this wonderful event off, we got Brian Lancaster of Meadow Marine. Brian, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Glad to be here.
So, how did you get started in the marine industry, and what was the genesis of Meadow Marine?
Well, it was a boat dealership that I purchased my boats at. I was a GM mechanic and got into tournament fishing, and the opportunity came where the owners of the dealership decided they wanted to do something else, and I was addicted to tournament fishing, boats, bass boats, any kind of boat, and jumped off the ledge, and that was 1988, so I've been doing it a long time.
What made you decide to make that jump from just being a mechanic to actually owning one?
Really, it was being able to have that job where you wanted to go to work every day. You know, you wanted to be able to. You know, they say if you have a job you love, you never work a day in your life. It was kind of that deal. The mechanic deal was hard on you. Actually made more money doing it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. You know, you want to do what you want to do and have fun, get through life and pay your bills, raise your kids, do your stuff, and smile about it. Unlike a lot of things, when it becomes your livelihood, you probably don't get to enjoy it as much as far as the fishing side, because there's times you can't go because you're working.
What was the Thermont your first location?
The original location was in Frederick.
Okay.
And the old owners were building a monstrosity up on Route 15 to town, and the market was really good, and they overbuilt. You know, they wanted to build the Taj Mahal, and it was very nice, but it was $12,000 a month to run it. And in the lean times, which the marine industry is very cyclical, you know, it'll be great years, you make some money, and bad years, you put a bunch of money back in. And that's how it's been the entire time I've been in the boat business. It's hard at first to understand it, but you just got to keep going, you know. And that really is how we got there. We got up to 6 stores at one point, and I was my locations.
That is fascinating because I didn't realize like that's how that Bass Pro Shop actually got in there.
Well, but it also, they have a big saltwater component, so it wasn't realized how in those markets, how many fishermen, freshwater fishermen were in that area. And like I said, we went from a first-year dealer to 17th in the country in 3 years. That's a lot of boats.
That's a lot of boats. That's a lot of boats.
You know, so.
And was that before, I guess, the Whitewater Marine started to purchase? Because I think I'm trying to like get straight.
White River Marine.
White River Marine purchased Triton and Ranger. Because what years did that actually happen?
18.
Okay, it's semi-recent then.
Yes, yeah. It was owned by for a while. Erwin Jacobs, who owned Mall, had bought. And bad economic times came. He was overextended in a lot of different areas, and venture capitalists bought it, and White River bought it from the venture capitalists. It, you know, they kind of get a bad rap in the industry. Everybody, you know, in the industry. He's done more for the world of outdoors than that's ever lived. I mean, his charitable works and fighting access issues, hundreds of millions of dollars. 10% of everything they make goes into the fishing and hunting and resources.
Why do you think he gets such a bad rap?
Well, everybody hates the winner. You know, a lot of when they started popping those stores around the country, the small local tackle shops, hard to survive if they weren't niche shops that specialize in tournament guys and having the latest greatest the next day. Those places survive. The Green Tops of the world, the Susquehanna Tackles of the world, Jake's is doing those guys that kind of cater to that more direct, die-hard guy, rather than a casual consumer that's going to spend some. It really, a lot of shops close when he comes. You have to change your philosophy of what you want to be, and you get to pick what you want to be. So the guys that pick, okay, I'm going to have the latest, greatest all the time, tournament stuff, cater to those tournament guys. They win. They can survive because it's all about SKUs at the big box level, and they buy. The way they buy is we're going to buy 20,000 of this SKU. You can't sell against that. You have to sell. You have to get that little Japanese bait or the new hot lick from the different manufacturers and be on top of it. They know the guy caught 38 pounds at Lake Anna 2 days ago. You know, a local guy said, "Hey man, that guy, this is the same thing that guy used to catch those fish," and they turn it on, get it out there, and people come by from them. So that got them a bad rap with the industry. But as far as what he really does for the industry, he's working on the Everglades. He's working on keeping the water clean in Okeechobee and keeping seagrass on both shores. You know, they were doing a copper mining in Alaska, and he battled it all the way till they stopped it.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it was going to ruin a salmon river. He doesn't just do bass fishing. He is an amazing person when it comes to conservation. He has an entire staff of conservation people that go to fight these battles, have lobbyists. No one knows that, but he does it. And he doesn't do it so he can put his hands up in the air and pat himself on the back. He wants to make sure that his grandkids and their grandkids can go fishing and hunting because that's what he loves.
I just wish when you have these people that are, how do I say it? The millionaires and the billionaires of the world, we always hear the negativity, but we don't know what they do behind the scenes because they have the resources to be able to make good change in the world.
Yeah, he's won every award you can win in the conservation world, from bird hunting to turkeys, all of it. Won the congressional for that. He's won it multiple times. He's an amazing. His foresight into the future and the needs of the world to do what we love to do. You know, us as anglers and hunters and people that ride bikes and go in the outdoors, you need the resource. You got to protect it. And he is 100% game in. When he bought Cabela's, we all went out to the dealer meeting, and you know, there's all these dealers, all his associates are flown in. He says, the beauty of this is we can double our conservation donations because our business will be that much bigger.
Wow.
That's the first thing out of his voice. You know, when he spoke, it was in front of his mind, and people don't see that side of him. You know, they see, they don't know. It's a much bigger picture in his world. You know, he bought Ranger boats. Ranger boats had financial several times with different ownership over the years, and I sat with him at one of the dealer meetings. He put a facilities and a big deal, and it was too loud. I couldn't be where it was at because it was like an amphitheater.
Oh, wow.
And it was way loud. And so I sat up by where you ate dinner, which is up on top of the hill, and he's a very big family man, and he went to get his wife a glass of wine, and he came back and he says, "Are you okay?" You know, I'm just one of 800 to 1,000 people at this place. I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." I said, "It's just a little loud." And he came back and we sat and talked for 20 or 30 minutes, and I thanked him for buying Ranger. He says, "Well, it's a legacy brand. No matter what, it has to survive."
Yeah.
And with me, it will. It was important for him, for that brand to be part of the industry. Where the venture capitalist guys, they have a plan. It's a different plan. We're going to fix this up. We're going to make it do this. We're going to get to these levels, and we're going to cash out.
What do you think about that? Because that is something that seems a lot that one likes to talk about, at least in the circles that I'm around, about the venture capitalists coming in, RoboWorm, some different companies where it seems like things are getting homogenized and monopolized more and more than in the past.
Absolutely. Everybody wants to make money to pay their bills and survive. Throughout all these industries, it's not just our industry, it's every industry.
Yeah.
They're looking at ways to buy stuff to turn it, to make more money. It's like homes. You want to know why the home prices are so high? They're buying them, and they're going to flip them, and everybody else trying to buy a house is paying the price. And it's a good gig if you're at the top of that deal, but it's bad for everybody else, you know. So the thing I see when it happens is the family, the business family changes. It's all about numbers, and it's leaving every industry in the country, in the world. Customer service, they get so big that they don't care enough, and I think that's what hurts the most, is that they're trying to get that stock number. They're trying to get that extra little bit of profit, and everybody else loses.
Is the rise in boating prices that you saw, and we'll just say, like the COVID, like from COVID on, truck prices, everything skyrocketed, and I think that really comes down to the supply chain and the materials. Is that what you're seeing here, where it goes from, let's say, 50,000 to, I mean, some boats look like it's the GDP of an African country, some of them. Is that mostly because of what happened with COVID, or is there other things?
There's other factors. Material was a big problem. Aluminum boats aluminum was a big problem. Most of the aluminum in America comes from Brazil.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know that.
And I was talking to a vendor that's he's involved with Coca-Cola, and for a while you couldn't get Diet Coke in cans during COVID.
Huh.
Everybody was out. It was about the cans. It wasn't the Coke. They couldn't get the aluminum because Brazil had a very bad COVID experience, and they shut them down, so they had no aluminum.
That's wild.
Tracker boats quit building john boats 3 years because you couldn't get, if you were going to get X amount of aluminum and you're going to make $75 on a john boat, or you could make $2,500 on a protein, which one are you using the aluminum for? So they quit making them. They're just now starting, but they've over doubled because aluminum's over doubled. You know, recycle aluminum during COVID was a big deal. You want to make some money? Go find you some cans and you could make some money.
That is so fascinating to me. You don't hear about this in the news. You don't hear about this in fishing magazines about, okay, yeah, we get all of our aluminum from freaking Brazil, and then follow that train all the way, and you're going to get to why your boat has doubled in price.
Yeah, and that's not all of it.
Yeah.
Anglers' expectations of what they need has greatly changed. Everybody in the bass fishing industry knows that what difficulties on the two sides of the forward-searching sonar. You know, you have the traditionalists that spent 30 years learning how to fish, and they're against it because they can't use it. The guys that can use it, that like a Brian Smith, for instance, who spent 2 years learning how to use it, has made the Classic 4 years in a row. He went all in. He says, if I'm going to keep doing this, I have to be able to fish this technique. And he achieved it, and it worked. But there are guys that don't like it. I personally, Brian Lancaster, not Mayor Marine, not Ranger Boats, Brian Lancaster, I look at a computer screen 8 hours a day. I go home, I look at my Facebook stuff and all that garbage, and the last thing I want to do when I get on my boat is stare at something. You know, I want to see that shell bank, and there's a little divot in that shell bank, and I say, okay, there was a tree there, and that's what made that divot, so that tree's out in front of it. You learn that over time. You go to Kerr, and you see a clay bank, there's rocks in front of it. It's just how the world's built. You know, spent 50 years learning those things. If you grow up a river fisherman, you see the flow of the current and the bubbles turning and the eddies and the different things. It's that way everywhere. Wind causes current on lakes. Rivers have current. Saltwater, tide going in, it's all the same. You learn those things. Button on that little machine and it starts doing this, it's a different thing. And it's the future. Is it right? Is it what we need to do? It's not as much fun to watch on TV as far as I'm concerned. But we're selling trackers and guys are putting $5,000 units on the front with forward searching. They'll never learn to use it. Most of them can't. Didn't help them because they won't invest. And what it is investing time, not catching fish and enjoying yourself to learn how to catch fish down the road.
And I think that's why we give young anglers such a bad rap. But there's two things that really, I think, came together, which is the rise of high school and college fishing, to where you have young ones that can network. I mean, I fished for Shenandoah University for 2 years. And you can go travel and hit all the best lakes with your friends for 4 years, let's say, in college, when you didn't have that. And then plus, you're giving these kids with the time, the technology, they don't have a full-time job, some of them, and you can just learn it. By the time you get out of college, of course you have a huge advantage because you have those 4 years on the big lakes learning this new technology.
But is that what you want to do? And that's
a good question.
That's the beauty of fishing. You know, it can be a grandfather taking their grandkid out to catch perch, crappie, whatever, and have a great time. It's the beauty of this sport is you can do it at whatever level you want to do it at. If you want to be a tournament angler and strive to be somebody and have that competition, the competition is what got me when I got into it. The first tournament I ever fished, I won, and it ruined me. It cost me millions, literally millions of dollars. It still costing me money, but it's what I like. You know, I'm also an avid saltwater angler, and you do what you do. Some guys play golf, some guys...
You've been a Key West aficionado for a long time. I'm very passionate about that place, right?
Fly fishing for carping, in my opinion, and I fish for a lot of fish, even around the world some. That is the most combat. The fish has all the advantages if I feed one and make it jump and he jumps off, I am just as happy. There are days I've never made a cast, but I enjoyed watching and learning from them. It's spectacular, and you're doing it in the most beautiful places in the world. You know, if you've ever been to the Keys on and it's awesome. Sea turtle pops up, or a starfish is crawling on the bottom. This is a change fly fishing forever. Not necessarily for the better, but it was being in the most beautiful places. You know, a place I love to go, and you hear turkey up in the woods, and to get a drink. There's more to it than catching a fish, and I think that's the beauty of the sport. Is whatever level you want, you can enjoy it. To me, personally, I don't need to catch one so bad that I need to look at a screen all day. If I don't got to see a deer drink and heard a turkey, and I caught me a few where I thought they'd be, not where I know they are, I got what I needed out of it, you know. And everybody has their own opinion. It's pretty heated right now with all the tournament organizations and anglers fighting to get and do what makes them happy so they can get through it.
Last thing I really wanted to bring up, I know you're pinched for time to get back to your section, the kayaks. I remember some of the first, I think the Hobie kayaks I ever saw was in your store way back when. Is that something where it's going to, do you see boat companies starting to invest more and more into kayak companies? I know like Torquedo was bought at a big motor dealership, because it seems like they're here to stay, the kayak world.
They definitely are. We were in a bad position. We had the market area in Thurmont when we had that location, and we had Hobies there, and we sold them all over Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland. And now that we're down to just the Virginia store, someone has that territory already, north of us and south of us, so we can't sell them. It's used for multiple user groups. You have the bird watchers like it. It's quiet, it's stealthy, they can get around. Some people hunt at them, a lot of people fish out of them. Some people use them for exercise. You can sit in your bedroom and watch TV, rowing machine, or you can go out and do the same thing and get to see the world and be out in the beauty. You know, so I know Bass Pro has spent a lot of money with their brands, expanding it. I think it'll continue to go. They're easy to stow. You can put them on a small car. They're around forever, you know. And again, you can do it that to whatever level you want. There's guys that have 15,000 hours in a kayak. A lot of guys have forward search and stuff on it, you know.
Willing with that.
On a fly, 150 pounds.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
What's the biggest one on regular tackle?
Probably 130.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's if you're into that stuff, any tarpon's a good tarpon. I have a house in the Keys. My wife bought me 20 years ago, and I spent Christmas week replacing a lot of my dock so the tarpon could fish coming through the bridge better. And they weren't there because the lights weren't working. I fixed the lights, took one day, and there were like 8 of them sitting at the dock.
Dude, you're living the dream down there.
I just don't get to go there because I work. But
that's the problem, is work gets in the way of the fun.
I do have a camera. I can watch it from Leesburg on the camera, so that's pretty cool.
Do you have any bucket list fly fish like things? Bucket list fly fishing things you want to do?
Yeah, I want to catch a sailfish. Neighbors in the Keys go to Guatemala every year doing it. Ooh. And it's very easy to do there. There's a lot of opportunity to catch fish. It's very hard to do in the Keys. It takes a lot of time, effort. So with me working it, it's not viable. I have all the gear already, I promise. Mm-hmm. That is the fish I want to. I even bought a boat to do it. So I am going. It's not if. I will catch one on it. I'm good enough with a big fish mean like a tarpon is.
No,
so,
not at all.
I've caught a lot of sailfish all different ways, except that way. But that's just my bucket. Amazon, caught an 18-pound fly. It was great. But that trip is hard. That's a hard trip. It's hard on you physically. Go get myself in a lot.
And I really you taking some time out of your schedule. This has been like 2 years I've been trying to get him on. If people want to go pick up a boat, where can they do it?
We're in Fredericksburg, just north of Fredericksburg on Route 1, Mayor of Aquia. We sell, Rangers, Bass Cats, Phoenix, Nitros, Sun Trackers. We don't do a lot of Sun Trackers. We're a bass boat place. We're all bass boat guys, and tracker boats. Company's been around since '68. I've owned it since '88. At some point, I'm going to leave and go fishing. I'll take my place taking care of customers.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate this. Guys, I hope you learned something about the history of the bass boat industry and how Bass Pro Shop came to Virginia. We're going to take a short commercial break here. Maryland, my apologies. I'm having a stroke. The Baltimore Bass Pro Shop. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with our next guest here live from the Richmond Expo. Thank you. Test, test, test. I know we're going to have bad lag because the internet's bad, but that's why we have redundant recording available, guys. I love technology. The more we get dependent on it. All right, we are live from the Richmond Expo, the final day. And without further ado, sir, could you please tell everyone at home who you are and what booth you're with?
Yeah, I'm Jason with Phony Frogs USA. We're in booth 115. We're swim bait makers from New Kent, Virginia.
How did you get started in this?
I've actually kind of been doing it my whole life. I started doing this when I was 12 years old from my neighbor. My neighbor was a striper guy on the Colorado River in Arizona. He fished a lot of rainbow trout swim baits, and so I started remaking swim baits for him and kind of brought it out here in '96 and just kind of kept with it. I kind of gave it up for a few years, got back into it, started building again, and so it's kind of just grown and evolved from there.
You really have a cool bait that I want to be able to show to the camera here, but what was the genesis of this? Was this an ayahuasca journey in the desert to, like, I want to start dabbling in this? Like, how did you come up with this concept?
Okay, so we're just kind of seeing a trend with the uptick of swim baits, and everybody's starting to fish the swim baits. We're starting to see fish getting conditioned to these hard baits. They're starting to get a little bit more cautious and finicky of them. I kind of feel like these new soft glides, these soft baits are going to kind of bridge a gap, you know, and kind of make these bigger fish start to commit again. Like I said, I think there may be sense in the hard surface of the bait when they're running up on it, and you can kind of tell because they're, you know, they run up on it full force and then they stop right at the last minute, and they'll maybe nip at it or they'll turn away. So I'm feeling, you know, fish have sensory things all over their body, their lateral lines. They can sense, you know, water pressures, and I feel like when they're running up on a hard surface bait, they can sense that surface is hard. I think before they had just never seen anything like that before, so they were kind of like brainlessly eating the bait. Now they're kind of a little more cautious of it, and they're kind of remembering them. So
I got a couple questions.
yeah.
Show it up to the opposite camera here as well. That is so cool. Not to get the secret sauce here, but how hard was it?
It's extremely hard. I keep having everybody ask me, you know, what the price point is going to be on it, and I'm trying to tell everybody, you know, I'd like to keep it under $100. I'd like to keep it as cheap as possible. You know, I like to kind of give everybody an opportunity to fish my baits. But it is an extremely long process. I'll be honest with you. It takes about twice as long to make one of these as it does an actual glide bait. Yeah, it's double the process, double everything. And so yeah, I'd like to try to keep it under $100. Right now the process is just extremely slow. It's actually about a 30-minute pour time, where I'm standing over the mold.
Per bait?
Yes, so I'm actually standing over the mold, squeezing the injector into the mold for 30 minutes. So you can imagine putting pressure on your hand and holding, you know, the injector for 30 minutes, trying to squeeze material into the mold. But that's basically the only way to do it by hand.
I'm pretty sure you could, at that point, with that knowledge known, you can charge whatever you want for it. That's annoying, man. Wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely. But I'm kind of perfecting the process and trying to speed the process up. Like I said, I think it's more of just a bending issue in the molds. So I've kind of been playing around with that and kind of speeding the process up. I've kind of got another idea I'm getting ready to try, and I think it's going to work. So like I said, if I can get the process sped up and I can get the pour faster, then we can definitely get it down under $100. So.
With the Whopper Plopper, and I'll use this as an example. Whopper Plopper came in massive for a while, but the vibration is pretty much was the same on the Whopper Plopper. Fish got used to it, and this ties into what you said earlier.
Right.
Is there enough vibration on a hard glide bait to where those fish can get conditioned?
Well, like I said, I feel like these fish have sensory issues, you know, have sensory things where they can sense soft surfaces, hard surfaces. So just like a bat would fly in the dark, you know, fish that swim in murky water, you can't see an inch in front of your face. You know, you imagine they're probably using their sensory things to be able to navigate through the water and not run into stumps or run into hard surfaces or whatever. So I'm imagining when they're running up on these baits, they're probably at the last minute sensing there's a hard surface there, and they're remembering that's what it is. It's artificial. So.
Where do you you think the glide bait industry is going to go? Because I was completely wrong. I thought because of the price point and the size, it would never catch on like a chatterbait and things like that. That was not correct at all.
Right.
Do you see this thing having that spike and dip kind of like the Whopper Plopper, or is it going to become like the chatterbait or the Senko where it's just going to be another tool in the toolbox and it's going to be consistent for years to come?
I think, as a bait maker, and as long as I've done it and as long as I've fished, I think it's just like anything in fishing. It's going to evolve with the fishing, and the fish are going to let us know what they want, and we're just going to keep building to suit what they want.
When do you foresee that bait becoming available for the general public? What's the future of that?
We're going to release it in March at the Bassmaster Classic. That'll be the first official release date. And then Dance's Sporting Goods in Southside, Virginia here is our local store. So we've already made an agreement. They'll be one of the first stores to take an order from us. You'll be able to place an order through them. They ship. After that, we'll start distributing into our stores across the country, McKee Outdoors and all the Legacy and all of them. So.
Wow, dude, that's awesome. So again, guys, please go check him out. Come on down to the Richmond Fishing Expo here for the final day. We close at, and they put this on the back of our badges, at 5 p.m. today. If people want to shop for you, is it just the brick and mortar store that you have, or do you have an online presence as well?
I don't have a brick and mortar store at all, actually, and we actually don't do any public drops anymore. We stopped doing that about 3 or 4 years ago. We pretty much only sell to retail stores, but if you call us, we're constantly making bait. So if you're looking for something, you can give my wife a call. If we have it available, she can take payment and she can ship it out, or we can make note of what you're looking for and we can kind of try to throw it in with a store badge. A lot of the colors that I make all the time, they're, colors that I'm doing for all the stores anyway. So if you need one, I'll just throw an extra one in of that color. So.
There you have it, guys. Sir, thank you so much for coming on. I know you got a busy booth there, but guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break before our next guest. Come on down to the Richmond Fishing Expo and see us. See ya.
Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 28 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and the Weekend Warrior tier will be closed to the general public. All members will be locked in indefinitely at a fantastic price point, and they will get all the benefits that they have today, plus any new benefits and discounts that will be added in the future. All Weekend Warriors will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rod. They'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members-only content. And in 2025, there are going to be tournaments that will be given a massive discount specifically to our Weekend Warrior members. Plus, if you sign up for the year right now, you will get 8% off your already fantastically discounted rate to join the Weekend Warrior program. Link in the episode description. Thank you.
me crank up that volume there. Okay, and let me adjust this just a little bit. Boop, boop. Perfect. A little too hard. And that's why I went up. What? Boom. Alrighty, perfect. We are live. We are back at the Richmond Fishing Expo, the final day, with our next guest. Girls, if you could just tell me what booth you're with, that'd be awesome.
Hi, we're with Hard Turn Fishing out of Richmond, Virginia.
How did this company, how did it become a thing?
It started as a hobby. My dad kind of kicked off with it. He's always been a creative person. And after I got really good at it, he just kind of said, let's try something. Came here last year with somebody, and after that, we decided that we were really going to get into it.
So how did you get into it then? Like it sounds like it's your dad's kind of passion or hobby, but then you kind of took up the mantle?
So he's an automotive painter. He's already creative and flashy, really. So anything he does, he goes in it, whether it's something he wants to or doesn't. He's kind of always inspired me to be more of a creative and outgoing person. So I'm just like him. I went head in first. So I kind of dove into it, and I've been getting really good feedback, so I haven't stopped.
Was there a moment you had where it's like, I really want to start pursuing this more?
I've had a few. There have been a few setbacks, a few people who have tried to stop me, make it harder on me. But in reality, it only made me stronger and made me want more.
So people didn't want you to paint?
Huh?
People didn't want you to paint?
They, weirdly enough, almost. There are a lot of people who wanted to copy or steal and didn't want to give me credit. So it just kind of, there have been a lot of setbacks.
Yeah, I've learned more and more that this industry is very cutthroat. Everyone is kind of competing and trying to steal from each other. It's insane.
Man, woman,
Everybody's
child,
very
it does not matter.
cookie cutter. And when something new pops up and it's popular, they're going to take that if they can.
So what was the big bait that you think, or the first product that really kind of set you guys out to separate you from everyone else?
Our cobia jigs. Last year we came in as a lure-only business, and after that, I just kind of went in. Somebody sold their company, and I took it, started it up, and it's been really good.
It was actually last year at the show when we were here with the baits because they had been painting baits, and we saw some of the jigs that were here, and she stated, she was like, well, I think that'd be kind of fun. I think I could get into that. And just so happened, like she said, we bought out a small business and didn't want to do it anymore, and she took on the mantle about 10 months ago.
Wow.
And she's 15, and
That's
she's
insane.
got grown men that have been tying, for years that are coming to her. That's been exciting about this show. It's actually, like she said, she had a lot of people that tried to kind of take some recognition from her, and this show's actually put it on the front that, hey, this girl is the one kicking butt. She's the one tying these jigs. And I mean, to be 15, we couldn't be more proud or excited to see kind of where it goes. But COVID kind of kicked it off. Everybody couldn't do anything. We went outside, we were fishing, and she's like, he's a painter. They were finding lures. They're like, hey, I think we can do this. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then, like she said, with the cobia jigs,
It really just took off.
when they came out, everybody's like, who's doing it? Where are they coming from? What's going on with them? Because how she ties them, it actually affects the drop rate of the jig. So it slows it down. So as you cast it out, the fish actually has more time to respond to it in that water column. So we started out with the feather jigs, and then this year they're dropping the octopus skirts with the blades.
Silicone.
I'm sorry, silicone. Well, they're octopus.
Yeah.
But yeah. So with the blades, and that will allow it to stay in the water table as well. So yeah, we can take it out.
Go ahead.
I can show it off to the camera a little bit closer. That is interesting. Huh. And then what is the...
So the weight ranges from what we have at the show this weekend is from 2 ounces to 3 ounces, just because that's mostly the request that we have. But we are a custom business, so if y'all have something that you want specifically made, whether it's a color, a size, we'll be able to do that for you as well.
Thank you.
It's really interesting because looking at some of these cobia jigs, man, that plume is absolutely massive.
That's all her. You know, that's what makes the difference in the jig is the size of the jig, and that's what affects the drop rate is being able to slow it down in that water.
What materials do you like to tie with? Do you have a specific material that you like more than others?
It's all very common, simple things. You just have to find the higher quality in.
Okay.
Yeah, it took us 9 months to find the feathers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because, and I mean, like I said, she's been tying.
You
So
think chicken feathers, right?
Yeah.
but it's really hard to find the length that she likes because, you know, when you get them, most of them are sewn together, so you're
Yeah.
having to hack half your feathers, then that affects cost and stuff. And it's been good for her because she's in every aspect of it, whether she's painting, branding the boxes, making the jigs, taking the orders, doing the paperwork. You know, for 15, she's rocking out right now. I'm super excited for her.
Why did you want to get into the world of being like a small business owner? Because it's a very niche group of people in the world that decide they'd rather do that versus going to work for somebody else.
When I was little, I used to go fishing all the time. Loved it, always been a passion. And it kind of took off, really. I mean, I had a lot of people coming up to me and being like, "You're a girl. You know, like this is such a man-dominated business. Like what makes you so special?" And I don't have an answer. I do what I do and I do it the best way I can.
What is it like being a business owner, taking away the fishing industry? Because business in general, like the fundamentals of business are business, and there's a pressure and responsibility because a lot of times you don't get to clock off. It's not working with somebody else where it's 9 to 5.
It's really stressful. It's really hard. It's very almost diminishing at some point, but the reward in it is unlike anything you've ever felt. It's very fulfilling in life.
What are some of these other baits here? I want to make sure that we get.
This is the lure side of our company,
The
the
lure
one
side?
that my father is now dominating while I'm feathering.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have swim baits, we have twitch baits, we have crank baits.
Crankbaits, jerk baits, anything under the sun.
And I love the packaging, by the way.
Thank
That's really
you.
cool.
And everything is done in-house. You know, we burn it ourselves, we stain it ourselves, we brand it ourselves, and they're water-resistant packaging as well.
We actually brought you some of our best sellers. So, yeah.
Now, are these new releases or bestsellers for the last couple of years?
These are actually pretty common, cookie cutter, very just bunker, shad, everything like that.
For the scheme.
Yeah.
So the swim baits were our best sellers last year, hands down. These are the best sellers in the last 6 months for its response and action in the water. And just, I guess, everybody loves a shad.
Yeah, pretty
You know?
much.
Everybody loves a shad. So you can't lose with them.
Have you ever thought about branching out to tying different baits for different genres of fishing? Of course, like trout kind of comes to mind as a big one.
Yeah, actually. So initially we tied these as cobia jigs. We recently have had a lot of feedback with red drum, striper throughout the years. And so we've been kind of branching out, doing different colors, different schemes, more length, less length, just seeing what all can really happen with it.
And we actually had a guy earlier in the booth, he bought some of the octopus jigs for, he's going to do mahi. He's going away in a couple of weeks. They're going to try and sight cast the mahi with them.
That's really cool.
So we're excited to see where it's going to go. You know, everybody has this concept of cobia jig, and
Yeah.
a jig is just a jig. But I mean, if you can get the fish to react to it, any fish will bite it. It doesn't have to be, you know, specifically a cobia. And all of our lures that are saltwater rated, they're all lure cured and everything so that they're able to take a beating. We want them to be able to use them more than once. Our pricing is decent because we fish. We want you to buy one and we want you to have to replace it, but I want you to replace it in a season or two. I don't want you to have to replace it every couple of weeks.
I've actually heard a lot of people going on about how it's a lot of money to only fish with it once, or it's too pretty to fish with it. But in reality, I've tied it to where it should uphold at least three or more fish at least. And we're trying to give out feedback. We want you to follow us. We want you to tell us how it is. We want you to give us criticism because we want this to last. We don't want you to have to go in and buy 3 or more at a time. Like we want you to give us feedback on it.
How does a day of tying? How is a usual day of tying work for you? Because it seems like it's there's labor. It's a labor of love. So
Yeah.
How does that work?
It takes me, sometimes her too. I've been trying to teach her how to do it a lot to help me. My hands are dead by the end of the day, really.
She's like, I'm done, like coming up to the expo. So we have to set it out to where it's scheduled.
Yeah.
Because if you don't schedule it, it just is what it is. In the beginning, we were trying to keep up with it, and it was just too much. Between school, jigs, and life, it was just too much. So we had to get it to where it was a schedule to where we could do, like for the expo, we were doing 5 to 10 a day in order to meet the quota.
Wow.
In order to do that. Now, in the beginning, that would have been unmatched because an hour and a half on a jig is just insane. But now she's got it down to the process, you know.
Yeah.
We handle it this far, then she takes it. Also, the rattles.
Yeah.
Our jigs are the only jigs with rattles in them. Yep.
How did that brainstorming session come about with the
A lot
rattles?
of old-timey, very blue-collar fishermen.
Yeah. On the pier. Yeah, talking to them, going back and forth, and she's like, I want to do something different. And
I want to make it unique.
And we use rattles on some of our other lures, and they were kind of throwing it back and forth. And the guy was like, well, I don't know if anybody's done it. There was an argument online because she's like, you know, we've done it. And they're like, well, it's been done before. And I'm like, yeah, but not commercially. It's not been sold like that. Like y'all older guys have been doing it because you were nice enough to share with us. So that's been a blessing and a curse at the same time.
So how do you? Is it a proprietary secret about how you attach a rattle to the jigs?
No.
Okay.
No, we just get it on there and get it epoxy good so that it's going to stay, that it's going to be able to take it.
Yeah.
And they're literally out here with a winch on a truck. I mean, they're going out putting piles in the river, getting stuff stuck so that they can cast it and test it. I mean, they try to destroy everything that they make. They're like, if it's going to fall apart, it's going to be on us, not somebody else.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, 30 minutes, that's insane per jig. I mean, I know that's on the higher end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
but even just for people at home, just to think like how much time and effort goes into every single one that you create, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. If people want to buy from you and for some reason they can't get to the Richmond Expo, how can they do so?
We have our website, we have hardturnfishing.com, and then we have Facebook directly as well.
Facebook directly too?
Yep.
Awesome. Do you guys by chance have a brick and mortar too that you would want to direct people to or anything like that?
Not as of yet. We haven't made it that far yet.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
She's like, by the time I'm 18.
But guys, there you have it. Please go check them out. Again, you can go order on Facebook. Go check out their Facebook handle. Thank you so much for coming. I really
for having
appreciate
us.
it. We're going to take a quick commercial break, guys, before we get, I believe it's the Bass Federation that'll be up next. But quick commercial break, and we'll be back shortly.
Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 28 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and the Weekend Warrior tier will be closed to the general public. All members will be locked in indefinitely at a fantastic price point, and they will get all the benefits that they have today, plus any new benefits and discounts that will be added in the future. All Weekend Warriors will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rod. They'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members-only content. And in 2025, there are going to be tournaments that will be given a massive discount specifically to our Weekend Warrior members. Plus, if you sign up for the year right now, you will get 8% off your already fantastically discounted rate to join the Weekend Warrior program. Link in the episode description. Thank you.
Do you fish? No. You know, people who don't fish think that fishing is lazy or boring, but it is the complete opposite. There are 100 little decisions to be made, variables to be considered, and you're never quite sure what made the difference. Did I cast too high, too far to the left? Did I reel it in too slow or too fast? Is the lure too shiny or too dull? Do I stay here or should I go over there? And you know it's not luck, but you do not know by how much. Because I am never disappointed out here, because I don't expect anything, because anything is possible. I can be hopeful out here, even in failure. Because I know if I just go out there around that tree, it might be different. Something might be different. Something I do might make a difference.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Alrighty, everybody, we are back alive at the Richmond Fishing Expo for the final day of this absolutely spectacular event. How is everybody doing this morning? Round of applause to the good old Les for putting on this event. Richmond has been exciting so far. Absolutely fantastic crowds that we've been dealing with. Please come on down if you haven't. And then also, how about them Redskins? My voice is a little hoarse today, and that's really because of how much I was cheering last night for those Redskins, and what an amazing game that they had, putting up some ungodly numbers. I mean, we're talking, it looked like the weights at Lake Anna. When you're winning like 45 to 31, that looked like first and second place at Lake Anna right now. Well, I know the boys are out there now. I think it's for the final Winter Series event coming up, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys can let me know down in the chat if that's correct. We got Ed Dustin that says, I like her. Her entrepreneurial spirit is spot on. Nicely done, young lady. Yeah, I thought that was really cool what they were doing with those cobia baits. That was really fascinating. I absolutely loved having Brian on. I've been trying to get Brian on forever. He is a really cool guest with just so much knowledge, and he has been spending so much freaking time in the boat industry in the Virginia area. And what he did to, and it's funny that what he said about like how he basically brought, helped bring Bass Pro Shop to Baltimore. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? That's fascinating. I know the service has been spotty, guys. We're going to be trying to save up some money here to buy some Starlink. That way we can have a backup internet that's just our internet going forward. I did try. Now, the Brian recording was also recorded on my mixer board, so the audio is fine. So I will re-upload the Brian Lannister episode later this week as a podcast, which will be on Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, all those different places, so you can have clean audio to the whole thing. I will try to re-upload a edited version, a polished up version on YouTube with the video, the best that we can. But and again, the internet was a little spotty up then, which I don't know why. But the audio will be fine. I did capture that separately, so a listening podcast version will be up. And if you guys aren't against it, what I can do also is I can just put up a picture of Brian, and we can just upload that to YouTube. So you'll just be staring at his pretty mug in a still frame. But the audio is still, the audio will still be good. So that's probably what I'm going to do, because I really, again, we're wanting to get Brian on for a long time. Let's talk about the history of the area, because you learn little things all the time. Again, aluminum. Didn't know that most of the aluminum comes from freaking Brazil, of all places. I think he said Brazil. Which is, okay, well, that explains why aluminum boats got so expensive. And we got our next guest here. He's setting up right now. We have Greg from Tiger Crankbaits. He's one of the people that he's available. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can go on there to get a little bit of a discount. He has a booth that's right over this skirt behind me here. Chris Johnson was there all day yesterday, as long as many other people. He paints some amazing baits and has got some great stories that we could probably talk about on an after-hour show with a little bit of whiskey. But for now, we're just going to be talking about the baits. So if you want, you can put those headphones on. That way it just makes it a little bit easier to see or hear. I don't know how you can see with headphones on. I know. I am hurting. We got Randy Purdue. Randy says, yeah, a lot better now. I know it's better now. I don't know what is going on there. What are you talking about? Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know why that was going on earlier today. It is what it is. That's what happens when you live and die with public Wi-Fi, which is something I really need to step up my game on, which I apologize for. But joining us now, the man, the myth, the legend, Greg. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate
Thomas,
it.
thanks for having us.
So, as always, what I do here, pretending that I don't know you, because our fine audience probably doesn't. Who are you, and how did you get into this crazy world of fishing stuff?
My name is Greg Stinnett, and I am with Tiger Crankbaits, and me and my wife, Heidi Stinnett, started doing our hobby that turned into an obsession by actually with looking at Art Defoe in Art's garage, where he's making crankbaits. And then we really wanted to see how he painted them. And of course, we get to the end of the episode, and he says, well, I don't paint them, I send them off to somebody else. I just make them. So then we started YouTube videos, and we started watching people paint. And then the next thing you know, I'm pulling tackle out of my boxes, and we're sanding stuff down and painting. And I'm going to tell you what, we thought we were something else. And then first baits, and we see them now and go, oh my God, man. I wouldn't even donate these to somebody. These are horrible. Not to say that these are perfect now, but yeah, we've advanced quite a bit from when we started. And I think it's one of those deals I finally realized, people say, if it's a job, it's never a job if you enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Well, now I know exactly what they're talking about, because I still have my construction business. Well, I don't enjoy that construction very much anymore. Mm-hmm. But this crankbait stuff, I love it. I mean, I love it.
How big is your construction business? Is it just you and a couple employees?
Yeah, it's
10,000?
just me, and it's very small. It's been in Richmond since 1966.
Oh, wow.
And my dad passed away. Actually passed away when I just turned 21 years old.
Oh, wow.
So when I took his business over, and I'm 60 now, so I have had it that long. And I can tell you, it's getting old, real old. I'm getting older, and I'm more like sore and stiffer, and so it's getting hard on me.
What do you do in construction?
More painting and drywall. So painting contractor, drywall. We do carpentry and stuff like that, but I've actually cut back to probably about 3 days a week now with it. Sometimes I have to, depends on the project, but I don't go at it like I used to, the 7 days a week, because Heidi and I have this, and, I can stay at home. I don't have to climb a ladder to paint these things.
Probably safer for your health.
Yeah. So it's very cool. Very cool. We enjoy it.
What was the first bestseller that you had bait-wise? Do you remember?
I would say that hot cherry craw. That was the one we won best crankbait show here was 2 years ago, I think.
2 years ago.
Because last year we did it with the blue crab.
Yes.
That we were doing it. The frog cell, our gold foil baits is a really great seller. And that's crazy. Gold foil, we do them in silver and a copper. They don't sell as well. The gold foils sell extremely well, and older guys are going to buy them. Younger dudes will walk right past them. The older guys, because they picture it as the old Bagley gold foil lures that they had, they will go straight to them. And it's just, we call it that's our old guy lure. I still throw them.
Wow.
They still work.
They do still work, and that's fascinating. The whole industry of the whole industry of old crankbaits. I had Dave Smith was around here sometime, and we were just talking about, like, they're almost like collector's items. Like, you could literally have baits that you could sell to pay your rent. They're so expensive now because they just don't make them anymore. And that's a whole other rabbit hole of a conversation, but it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is, and it's amazing that we do a lot of repaints on that stuff and repairs. When, like the old Bagley stuff, when it gets, what happens is a clear coat cracks and it gets water gets under it, and when it hits that balsa wood, I mean, it don't take it long to deteriorate. So we cut all that stuff out, epoxy it in, sand it off, and repaint them. Yeah, the old baits, and I'll tell you another one that's amazing. And I painted some for a fella, and I had some of my personal ones, but it took me a while to get him some. Bomber used to make a crankbait called a speed shad. And for Bugs Island, Gaston, and a lot of places, Pradco bought Bomber. They discontinued it because it was so regional. It was a Bugs Island, Gaston type of deal. They would sell them in this area down there, but you couldn't give them away in Tennessee or Florida or anywhere else, and that's why they discontinued it. That was a $4 bait 25, 30 years ago. You know, they're getting $30 a piece for them.
That's insane.
Tore all to pieces in horrible shape. And luckily, I have found, I've got about 2 whole boxes full of them. And usually I don't sell them, I keep them for myself. And don't use them. Hey, that's something.
That is awesome. And guys, get your questions. Drop your questions in chat now. I just unlocked chat. A couple questions had about my microphone. I'm keeping my microphone low now because there's a lot of noise here. When I re-upload this, if I crank my mic up now, it'll sound blown out when I re-upload it. So to be a little bit quieter now, that way I can clean up all the background noise on the re-upload, because you guys probably don't know, here it is, but it's pretty noisy right here. That's why we have all these headphones in. We do have a great little question here from Logan Barkley. I had one of my first baits painted with you guys years back. Keep up the great work, and it was good talking with you yesterday, Thomas. Back in the day, Back Bay. Yes, Logan, absolutely. And I'm going to screenshot that because I want your last name too in your face, because people will tell me their names all the time. If I don't have a face to it, it goes in and it gets lost in the void. You have some cool new baits now. I don't know where you want to start, so you just show me which one you want to start with here, and we'll keep going.
You're familiar with our totally weedless frog. It's a hard-bodied, no squeezing of water out or anything to that effect.
That's cool.
Totally weedless, tough as nails. I didn't purposely try to break one, but I have popped it very hard upside docks and stuff like that, trying to kind of see if it's going to, because I can tear a steel boat anchor up. So I wanted to make sure it wasn't something that we're going to have some problems with. And it has been a great fish catching thing. And
a question that just came up here by Tim. What size hook is on that?
That, a lot of times on the back of this is not the original hook. We use an older hook. It's called a Mr. Twister Keeper hook. And what that is, it's the one that's got the wire that comes out on the top. So when you run that on your bait, you turn it around and do it up under it weedless. You can use like some wide gap stuff. The problem we have found with that, we use the Zoom Creepy Crawler on the back. We did use the Zoom Fat Albert, but it was too beefy. And what happened was it would affect, this thing works like a Zara spook. And the heavy plastic on the back interfered a little bit with the movement of it. So, and of course we have to adjust the hook around to the bait. I mean, you can't put like a Jaws hook on the back of it that you would want. You'd like to have something like that. But a big misconception about single hooks compared to trebles, you don't lose a lot of fish on a single hook.
We got Tim Mick in the chat. Tim Mick says, they have done a lot for me and they hold up. The frog takes a beating and keeps working. That's a really interesting design. That could definitely be awesome, like in a back bay place, someplace like that.
Yes.
What's next?
We've got our glide bait, a swim bait. Some people call it swim. Sometimes we were just talking about the difference, why people call it different. But that's one of our are baits that we get into that real natural type of setting, and that's painted off an alewife. And of course, you know, we live close to the James Chickahominy, where that's a 4-inch fish down there. So, and you've seen our bluegill crankbait, so it kind of runs into our real natural deal that we do. We're very proud of those baits. We spend a lot of time to get them really factually as close as we possibly can. Not really to say that that works, because I've had baits that look so close to a shad, and you take a fire tiger and fish with it, and there is no bait fish that I know that looks like a fire tiger anywhere.
There is none. It's so weird, because I've had this conversation a bunch the past 2 weeks, especially down in Raleigh, where North Carolina guys, chartreuse crankbaits are like peanut butter and jelly. But Jimmy Houston threw them like 250 years ago, and now in 2025, chartreuse still works. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What does it look like? I don't know.
It's one of those colors. I've been a fan of fire tiger crankbaits. If I go, I'm going to throw one, and you can do smallmouth in the Upper James with it. You can go James Chickahominy, Chesden, Bugs Island, and it's just Potomac. I love it at the Potomac. And it's just one that, why they bite that, I'm thinking more, it's a more reactionary bite. And that's why sometimes I don't really agree. I agree with match the hatch on fly fishing. I understand that. Sometimes I don't think that theory holds water in the crankbait stuff, because it's proven that there's no bait fish that looks like a fire tiger or some of these pink baits and stuff like that, you know. But they work. All of the stuff works at its certain points in time. It'll work. But it's just me. I think it's a confidence gig.
This cool little bait that I'm going to hold up to the camera here, it looks like you took an ayahuasca trip into the desert to come up with this. What was the brainchild? It's cool, but what was the brainchild of adding skirt to the crankbait?
That is to make it look like its legs, and it's painted in with a frog, painted for a frog. And what we did is it started out as a wake bait. It was a very good bait to begin with. We wanted something that was going to run right on the top of the water, and I mean skim across the top. So I had this brainstorm that when I drilled it to put the skirt on it, I said, I know how to get it to go to the top for some duck hunting stuff that we did. I said, how about I fill it full of foam? So that bait is filled full of foam, and it takes it right to the top of the water. The only way you can really get it to sink, you have to really burn it real hard, and it'll drop down about that far, but then it pops up just like a frog does.
Okay.
Now, the downside of it, the first ones that I did, you can ask Heidi, I blew up several baits doing it, foam on the ceiling, foam in my beard, foam everywhere. Now I've kind of got it down pat to where I know, and they're great. They've been out actually for about a year.
Wow.
But they haven't been released. Our pro staff, our field staff guys have been using them. And I can't say that we do that on every bait, but on some of our off-the-wall stuff, it's going to be fished with before it's released, because I don't want any problems with it, you know, just going on a whim and putting something out. But a very cool bait. And this next one here, now this is something that's really a kind of a off-the-wall, and I'll give you a little backstory on that. And that is in our rodent series, we have it in a mouse, a black rat, and a brown muskrat. And it's the same foam-filled bait, but just a different, that is a eagle claw trocar on the back. And that's just a zoom trick worm on the back, finesse worm, using it to make it weedless. And how the idea came about, many, many years ago, my dad had a Heddon crazy crawler that had that fuzz on it. And we're floating the river one day. Well, I drew back when I launched it. I put it in the top of the tree and then broke the line off. And that 12-foot John boat was too small for me. I could not get away from him fast enough. It was the only one he ever had, and it was chewed up by the smallmouth.
Oh.
But the material on that is really goes back to another waterfowling thing. It's flocking that you get on waterfowl decoys that they put on the head, and we used to flock our own heads. So when I said, well, why can't I take that flocking, same application on a crankbait, and make it a rodent bait? Why can't I do that? And those are fairly new out. They have caught some, but they haven't been out a long time because we knew the bait would work itself. Just does the color and does the texture and all that. People think it's the wildest thing in the world to feel that fuzz on it. But I think it's very cool. It's definitely different.
Oh, yeah, it's different.
You don't see that around. And the rats and rodent type of fishing is kind of taken off. Some people like it, some people don't. They don't fool with it, but it's a pretty cool thing. We try not to grow stale. We try to come out with some new stuff. And sometimes it doesn't work. But so far it's worked pretty good. Now what we'll do for next year, don't have a clue. Could be laying in bed one night and think about it and go, I'm gonna try this. So that's the way we fly a lot.
Guys, he's got some really, really cool baits. Come check him out at the Richmond Expo. We have a bunch of questions here I want to get to, a couple on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Logan Barkley says, can you go into any specifics on the amount of clear coat or acrylic you use on the baits?
We use a automotive paint, and we spray it with an HLVP sprayer, which is a spray gun like you see that they spray cars with. But when we clear coat, we usually clear coat at least, the minimum is going to be 50. We're usually like 100 to 150, and I clear coat them all at one shot. We used to do the KBS dipping, which is a great product. If you're just doing a couple and you're just painting at your house, it's a great product, but the air gets to it, and I mean, it dries, and it dries in the can, and it's $65 for a little can of it. So storing it, I mean, yeah, you can stop. I've got some that I've had for a year, but it's certain ways you got to store it. They have the Alumilite that you can brush on it. And it's a lot of different clear coats. Stay away from any of like the Minwax polyurethanes or even like marine varnishes, that they are for a water application. The problem with that product is if you've got any white on that bait, when it dries, it turns yellow. And I mean, it yellows really bad. So when you see a can of a clear coat and it says non-yellowing or does not yellow, it's because it's got the oil in it, and it will turn it yellow.
Didn't know that.
So you don't use that. You don't use that product. You have to get something that's a crystal clear product. The automotive stuff, the KBS, all that stuff is a crystal clear product when it dries. Very durable.
Dude, that's really, guys. He just dropped some knowledge there. I didn't know any of that. We got another question on Instagram. Do you take orders for? Okay, yeah. Do you take orders to do custom paint jobs on things like swim baits?
Yeah. Yeah, we've done some of Mike Buka stuff. We actually have a lot of people. Nothing against their paint. I'm not saying that, but we'll buy a bait brand new. They like the bait and don't like the paint job. I mean, it could be a Bandit. It could be any bait, and they'll just give it right straight to us, and we'll sand it down and paint it to what they want. Swim baits, yeah, we do a lot of them. Yeah, it's the same process as painting a crankbait. It's actually easier because it's a bigger bait, and it's not as, you don't have to be so fine-tuned on a swim bait because you've got a bigger surface you're working with instead of these little small crawl lines and stuff. So, yeah, it's an easy thing to do. Like I said, you can get in touch with us on Facebook now at Tiger Crankbaits. Get with Heidi, and yeah, we can make it happen, man.
Yeah, and then the other question popped up is how do I get the bait to you guys? So they have a Facebook if you want. On all of our regular episodes, since they're a Patreon supporter, there's a link straight to their Facebook page. Because I'm kind of parlaying with the Raleigh and Richmond Fishing Expo, I can't put 50 links onto their Facebook page. But go to any regular episode or the regular episode that's going to drop tomorrow, Tiger Crankbait Facebook is right there. Click on that. You can go to them, give them a call, and then hopefully we're really pushing them to have a website up this year or next. But once that's up, I will definitely let you guys know. And then the next expo you guys are going to be at, are you?
Next expo, we're going to be Fredericksburg next weekend. We skip a weekend because we used to do the Dale City, but that starts to get a lot on us, all those weekends in a row. And a lot of times, it's just me, I could be wrong. The Fredericksburg show and the Dale City show is it's a lot of the same folks. Not that I don't want to see them, but then we skip there. And then I think it's the 1st of February, we are at Fisherville Expo at Doug Fitzgerald's show, which is a great show.
Great show.
We love that. Then we go to Great Bottom in Virginia Beach. We are at Hopewell, Stony Creek, and then we're somewhere else. And I can't. Heidi tells me this stuff on spur of the moment a lot of time. I know these shows that we usually go to, but if it's a new one, that bomb gets dropped on me about the middle of the week, and I'm like, what? Why are we going here, and who the hell is this? So that fly by the seat of your pants seems to be a track record with us. And hey, it all works. We have fun with it.
It does. Guys, if you have time today, come on down to the Richmond Expo. Come see them. Do you guys know your booth number by chance?
I don't have a clue.
We are booth 103, Fishing the DMV. Come down and see me. They're right behind us. So come check us out. Or go check them out on Facebook. And if not, see them at Augusta County in the Fredericksburg Expo. Sir, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey,
I really appreciate it.
You keep up the good job. I love your show.
Thank you so much,
Keep
boss.
it up, my friend. Thank you for having us. Thank you for everything you do for us.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, boss man.
All right, guys. He is done there. And let me tell you guys what's going to be going on today. I am going to be shutting down this stream. Again, I'm going to be shutting down this stream and starting up a brand new one at 1 o'clock. So, guys, we're going to be going live again at 1 o'clock. I'm going to write this down and send it out there. We are going live again at 1 p.m. today with 1 p.m. today. Look for the new live stream at 1 p.m. Okay, so I'm just gonna type that out. I'm gonna send that out to all over God's earth. So the new live stream link will be sent out. It's gonna be a new live stream completely because this one started out a little choppy today with the Wi-Fi and the hotspot. I'm gonna shut this one down and start a fresh one since we have good internet now. And we're going to go from there. So at 1 p.m., we're going to be back live at 1 p.m. with more guests, more really, really, really cool vendors, and some really cool stories to tell. So what I want you to do is go to the new link at 1 p.m. Go look for it on the Richmond Facebook page. You can also look at my Facebook page or YouTube. Go check out the YouTube channel if the buffering is bad on Facebook. I'm going to let you know then. The last thing here that's super important. We only have, I think, 26 Patreon spots left. Our Patreon is the only reason this podcast can survive. I don't have a lot of sponsors. It's all basically because of the Patreon supporters is why that this actually functions. So we only have about 26 spots left. That includes discounts to all of the great sponsors I do have. And you'll be a member of our private Facebook group, members only content, and I do fishing tournaments. I do monthly fishing tournaments a couple times a year with payouts, insanely good payouts because the payouts come out of my own pocket. The last winner, I won like $400, $500 from an online fishing tournament that cost almost nothing to enter. So please go check that out, and I'll see everyone back here at 1 p.m. today. Look out for that new stream. 1 p.m. today is when we're going to start back up with a brand new stream. So please go check it out on YouTube or Facebook and look for the new stream.
Hey everyone,
link.
quick little announcement here
We'll
from
see you guys
Fishing the
then.
DMV. Our Weekend Warrior membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 28 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and the Weekend Warrior tier will be closed to the general public. All members will be locked in indefinitely at a fantastic price point, and they will get all the benefits that they have today, plus any new benefits and discounts that will be added in the future. All Weekend Warriors will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rod. They'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members-only content. And in 2025, there are going to be tournaments that will be given a massive discount specifically to our Weekend Warrior members. Plus, if you sign up for the year right now, you will get 8% off your already fantastically discounted rate to join the Weekend Warrior program. Link in the episode description. Thank you.